Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. In this video I'll be showing you how to make a double ring wall hanging decoration. For this project you will need a 2.5mm crochet hook, a double knitting yarn, a 4-inch metal ring and a 6-inch metal ring. You might also want to use a lighter to burn out the fuzz, and you can use a wooden bead as well. We are going to start by making a magic ring. We are going to make the smaller ring first. And then we are going to chain 2 and place 12 double crochets into the magic ring. You don't have to use a stitch marker here, but I like to because it helps me find the stitch for the slip stitch at the end. When you've finished your round, pull on the tail to secure the ring and place a slip stitch into the first double crochet of the round. Round 2 is a round of puff stitches, so we're going to make a puff stitch in each stitch around. So we're going to pull the stitch a little bit and yarn over and pull up a loop 3 times. That's 1, 2 and 3, and then we're going to yarn over and pull through all the loops on your hook, and then make a chain to close, and then chain 1 for in between the puff stitches. So we're going to make another one into the next stitch. So we're going to yarn over and pull 3 times, 1, 2 and 3, yarn over and pull through all the loops on your hook, and then chain 1 to close the puff stitch, and then chain 1 again, and you're going to repeat this all the way around for a total of 12 puff stitches. When you've finished your round, place a slip stitch into the top of the first puff stitch that you've made. Round 3, we're going to chain 1 and place a single crochet into the same stitch, and then place 2 single crochet in the gap between the puff stitches. So it's a single crochet on top of the puff stitch and 2 single crochet into the gap, and you're going to repeat this all the way around for a total of 36 single crochets. When you finish the round, place a slip stitch into the first single crochet of the round. Round 4, we're going to chain 5. I like to place a stitch marker in the 3rd chain because that's where we're going to put the slip stitch when we finish this round. And then 2 more chains for chain 5. Then we're going to double crochet into the same stitch. Then we are going to skip 2 stitches and place a double crochet into the 3rd stitch, chain 2, and then another double crochet into the same stitch. So we're going to do a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, skip 2 stitches, and then into the next stitch a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, and we're going to repeat this all the way around. When you've finished your round, place a slip stitch into the 3rd chain that we made at the beginning. And round 5, we're going to start with chain 1, and we're going to place 4 single crochets into the V space, and then 1 single crochet into the upside down V. I'm using a stitch marker into the first single crochet so I can find it easier. A single crochet into the upside down V space. Don't know what you call that. Upside down V. And then 4 single crochet into the V space. And then a single crochet into the upside down V space. And you're going to repeat this all the way around for a total of 75 single crochets. When you finish the round, place a slip stitch into the first single crochet of the round. Now you're going to notice that it's going to make like a bowl shape, but it's okay, it's going to stretch out when we attach it to the ring, so don't worry about that. Round 6, we're going to start with a chain 1, then we're going to make a single crochet into the same stitch, and then a single crochet in the next 2 stitches, and then we are going to chain 3 and then skip those 2 stitches over the upside down V-stitch and then place a single crochet in the next 3 stitches. So it's going to be 3 single crochet over the V-stitch, chain 3, skip 2 stitches over the upside down V and place single crochet in the next 3 stitches. So you're going to repeat this all the way around, and I will come back when I finish my round. You should finish this round with a chain 3, then slip stitch into the first single crochet of the round, and this is what it's going to look like. It should be smaller than the ring so it stretches and holds its shape. This is going to be the 4-inch ring, and we're going to attach it to it with a slip stitch, and we're going to place a single crochet into each single crochets from the previous round, which is 3 single crochets. I'm placing my stitch marker so it's easy to find my stitch for the slip stitch. That's 1, 2 and 3 single crochets, and then we are going to place 3 single crochets in the chain 3 space from the previous round. So it's 3 single crochets on top of the 3 single crochets cluster, and then 3 single crochets in the 3 chain space. And it's going to be a bit of a stretch because we made it smaller, but if it's not stretching enough, it's going to end up floppy. It's not going to hold its shape. So you're going to have to move your stitches a little bit around the ring while you're working on it, so it's easier for you to stretch it. But the more you go around the ring, the easier it'll be. So repeat this around for a total of 72 stitches. So you can see here halfway through, I'm just pulling the stitches around on the ring so it gives me a bit more give on the piece. So you're just going to have to stretch it over a little bit as you work on it. When you've finished your round, place a slip stitch into the first single crochet of the round, and now we're going to chain 10 and slip stitch back into the same stitch. We're going to use this loop to attach to the 6-inch ring when we're finished. And pull your yarn through and cut yourself a tail to sew it in. So this is what the 4-inch ring should look like when you're finished. The second ring is going to be the exact same 7 rounds, but we're going to continue it to make it bigger. So make the first 7 rounds. I'm going to leave a chapter for you to follow. You can go back and work with that. And when you finish your 7th round, I'm going to come back and show you how to make it bigger to fit on the 6-inch ring. I'm just going to sew in those 2 tails. I'm simply going backwards and forwards through the stitches a couple of times and cut the tails off. So again, make your first 7 rounds of the circle, and I'll be back to show you how to do the rest. I have just finished my 7th round, so I'm going to slip stitch into the first single crochet of the round, and we're going to move on to round 8. This should be the same size just before we stretched it. Round 8 is a round of puff stitches, and we're going to pull 3 like the previous puff stitch round. So pull your stitch a little bit and go 1, 2, 3 times into the same stitch, yarn over, pull through all loops on your hook, yarn over, make a chain, and make a chain 1. I'm going to skip a stitch and place another puff stitch into the next stitch. So we're going to do a puff stitch on every other stitch with a chain 1 in between. Repeat this all the way around for a total of 36 puff stitches. At this stage it might look a little bit floppy, but it's okay because we're going to stretch it when we attach it to the ring. When you finish round 8, slip stitch into the top of the first puff stitch of the round. Round 9 we are going to slip stitch into the next gap between the puff stitches, and we're going to chain 1 and place a half double crochet, and then chain 1 and place a half double crochet into the next gap, chain 1, half double crochet in each space around with a chain 1 in between. So repeat this all the way around and I'll come back at the end of this round. I've finished round 8 and my work looks a bit like a soup bowl. Never mind, it will stretch out, don't worry about it. When you finish the round, you should have a chain 1 before you slip stitch, and then slip stitch into the first half double crochet of the round. Now we are going to attach the 6-inch ring with a chain 1. And again, your circle should be smaller than the ring so it stretches and holds its shape. So for this round we are going to start with a chain 1, and we're going to place 2 single crochet on top of the half double crochet, and then 2 single crochet in the chain 1 space. So that's going to be a bit of a stretch again, but you will work out. Just remember to move your stitches across on the ring a little bit and you can sort it all out once you finish the round. So it's 2 single crochet on top of the half double crochet and 2 single crochet in the chain 1 space. Repeat this all the way around and I will be back when I've finished mine. When you finish the round, place a slip stitch into the first single crochet of the round. Then you are going to chain 10 for the hanging loop and slip stitch back down into the same stitch. Then pull your yarn through and cut yourself a little tail for sewing in. I am trying to teach myself to sew in the tails as I go along rather than leaving myself a load of tails to sew in at the end. So I'm just going to sew these 2 tails in right now. And this is what it should look like right now. I absolutely love it as it is. You don't have to do the second one. Now we're going to sew these 2 together. So we are going to find the middle. So I'm just counting round on the puff stitches to find the one in the middle. As you can see at the top on the puff stitch round, I have made a mistake. There should have been a chain there in between the 2 and probably another half double crochet. So don't make the mistake that I made, but find your middle one at the bottom. Now take some more thread and we are simply going to sew it from the bottom loop of the smaller circle. We're going to sew it over the gap there, so it's directly under the loop from above. So I'm going to take it over 2 stitches. I'm going to sew it over 2 stitches, sorry, coming from the back of the large circle and from the front of the loop of the smaller circle, and in from the back of the large again. And I'm doing it a couple of times in each stitch over 2 stitches. Then I'm taking the yarn back to the back of the piece, sorry, through the loop, and then I'm going to weave it up the round on the ring, just so it's tied better. So just going up one of the stitches, and then I'm going to simply make a double knot and cut the yarn. You can weave your tails in, but I prefer not to, because you're not going to see it. It's going to be at the back. And this is what it should look like so far. Now we are going to make the tassel to tie at the bottom. Now obviously you can make your tassels as long or as short as you want, but I have this box where I keep some of my hooks, which is about 10 centimeters wide. So I'm simply going to wrap the yarn around it 10 times. You can do it thicker if you want, so wrap it more, or thinner, wrap it less. And I'm going to again wrap it round 10 times and then cut the yarn, and then I'm going to cut 2 extra tails, one to tie the strands together and one to tie it to the piece. So before I cut the strands off, I'm going to tie them together from the back with your needle, with your hook, and make 2 simple knots just to hold it together. And then I'm going to cut the yarn in the middle on the other side. Then I'm going to take the other strand that we've cut and make a double knot again, about 1 centimeter away from the top knot where we tied them together. And you'll notice that one strand faces up, one strand faces down, so I cut the one that goes to the top. And then I'm going to take my tapestry needle and I'm going to find the middle of the smaller circle. Add your bead if you're using one before you attach it. And then I'm going to find the middle of the smaller circle, and what I do now, I place it on the wall to see where the middle is, because it sometimes lays differently when it's on the table. And then I come from the front of the smaller circle to the back, and then I'm going to take one of the strands off the needle and weave the other one that's still on the needle through a stitch or 2. Then again make a double knot and cut the tails off. Repeating myself, you can weave the ends if you want, but I prefer to cut them off because you won't see them. And this is it. Look how beautiful! I absolutely love it, by far my favourite one that I've made so far. And then you can cut the tassel to length so they're all straight. And what I like to do now, I like to bend the, if you're using acrylic yarn, you will have lots of fuzz on it, so you want to go quite quickly and not stick on one point because it will make burn marks. You do not have to do this, but I find that if I do this, then it enhances the stitches and you see it better and it looks much prettier, in my opinion. Again, you do not have to do this if you don't want to, but be very careful not to stick on one point too long because it will leave burn marks. And this is what it looks like when it's hanging on the wall. Excuse the shaky hand, I had to slow it down so it doesn't rattle too much. I really hope you enjoyed this video and you enjoyed making this wall hanging. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.